Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and today we're reviewing Porygon2. Now, Porygon2 is one of my favorite Pokemon that can use Eviolite, mostly because of how tanky he can be. If we go and look at his stats, first things first, even with like most of the hit point investment and splitting up the defenses, you can get around 260 in either stat, or balance it however you want for more defense, more special defense, depending on what your team needs. Since it is a physical tanky meta right now, gonna go a little more defensive on this one. You can also choose to just kind of go full on like that. That way you're still gonna have a lot of defensive coverage. Your special defense is still gonna be very strong, and overall it's just gonna be really good. So you have a couple options here. So you can either go with a sassy nature, which is why speed is going to be lowered, special defense is going to be high. I believe you can also go with a calm nature, yeah, for the minus attack. And Porygon2, like, a lot of people play him very differently. Most of the time you're going to see him as a toxic staller. Other times you're just going to see him as like some kind of status whore. That way, you know, you can soften up your opponents, get some damage down on them. Or other times you're going to see him with a bit more special attack investment, because he does have a huge special attack. So just for comparison, 309 without any nature, so he can hit hard. But I decided to take the other route. I decided if I make him tankier, it'll be able to give him a better chance to set up. So if we go and look at the item, Eviolite raises defense and special defense by 1.5 times, because he's an awesome Pokemon like that. And the ability. So all of his abilities are fairly okay. Like if you look at it, Trace, depending on the Pokemon you're switching into, you can really set up a good ability. I've had some awesome abilities before come in, and they can really change the game depending on what you get. Download, it's really good because if you can get a Pokemon that has a weaker special defense, and a lot of Pokemon do, you're going to be able to get that special attack boost, free damage, and then analytic. If you're slower, Porygon2 is a fairly slow Pokemon. If you're slower, you get 30% more damage. Okay, so all of his abilities are really good. I would recommend Analytic, and if you do go Analytic, go with the Sassy nature, that way your speed is even lowered. Just makes it really strong. And then second ability, I would go with Trace, and third, Download, depending on how you want to play. Again, that Trace is really awesome. I've traced Serene Grace. That's done some cool things before. Tracing Simple is really amazing to have with this set. Pretty much if you trace anything that's beneficial, which most natures have something very beneficial to almost any scenario. So we go and look at the basic moveset. So the basic moveset is going to be Recover, Toxic, Charge Beam, Psyshock. Why all these things? Well, mostly because when you have a Pokemon that's this tanky and has access to Recover, that's kind of the best thing that you could have ever. So if you look at it like this, you know, Recover is going to heal you for a lot, half your health, when they're only doing a quarter to maybe even a third, because you just have so much darn tankiness and so much health. That's going to be really nice to have. Top of that, you can set up a Toxic stall, you know, first turn Toxic. Now you can kind of lock yourself into a Recover until they eventually whittle away. So a lot of Porygon2 like doing that. And what I decided to do is, instead of going on with like a less defensive, more special attack based set, go with Charge Beam. I've mentioned Charge Beam a lot of times, and for tanky Pokemon, you really can't beat it. Now, it's kind of like Power Up Punch in that, you know, if you use it, you have a good, well, Power Up Punch is a 100% chance to gain an attack stat. Charge Beam is a 70% chance, and it's still very, very worth it, because if you have Toxic set up, you know, you hit them with Charge Beam once or twice as they're going down, they're going to mostly go down to Toxic, and you have a chance of boosting your stats really well. It's also getting decent coverage. You have decent electric coverage, so you can hit a little harder against the water and flying types. And then with Psyshock, what I like about Psyshock is damage is based on defense, not special defense. So now Porygon2, he's not going to get walled out by a specially defensive Pokemon. He's going to be able to hit anything really well. So this was mostly a set I made back when 5th gen, when you saw a lot more Blissey, a lot more Chansey with Eviolite. That way Psyshock can hit it for its low defenses, and you're going to do a lot of damage to it. So just kind of really rounding out the set like this, you have your special attack, which, you know, even with 50 base power, if you have 2-3 charges on it, it's going to be doing a lot more than they're going to be doing to you. Psyshock, nice psychic damage, nice coverage overall, going to be just a strong thing, and I really enjoy it. Other options. Tri-Attack. Tri-Attack is pretty good, because 20% chance to burn, paralyze, or freeze the target. I think it actually breaks down to like 6.3% for each. So it does the 20% chance, and then if it would, it does an extra like 33% for each. I think that's how I remember reading it in a strategy guide a while ago. What makes Tri-Attack strong? 80 power, but it does get stab, and you can get some really awesome statuses. Like, all these are very good. Freeze, locks your opponent down for a while. Burn, if it's physical Pokemon, that was a great thing. Paralyze might mess with your analytics since you'll be going faster, but getting the damage edge on your opponent is always good. He has a lot of good moves, just great coverage for being the Pokemon he is. I believe, does he get... I was like, he does get Ice Beam, so I mean, I would recommend Charge Beam and then whatever you want here. Psyshock is my personal tech. That way I'm ready for any kind of defenses on a Pokemon. Tri-Attack is your big hitting, just overall coverage, and then Ice Beam would be good for dragons, just really good for anything else. So this is pretty much the way I run Porygon2, and funny story is, when I was going to the regionals years ago that I made my Dunsparce video about, my girlfriend wanted to enter just because she was there and she took me. So it'd be like a really fun thing if she could participate. She didn't have any competitive ready Pokemon, so I just handed her my Porygon2. I was like, here, take Porygon2. You're going to want this. And yeah, it was funny because even though she was kind of in the lower brackets because she wasn't really ready for the games, Porygon2 was giving everyone trouble. Like, people were speaking legends of this Porygon2. It was the Colorado Springs regional. I think that was 2011, 2012. Don't remember. But everyone was just like, dude, girl over at the table, her Porygon2 just won't die, and it's killing everything. So Porygon2 is a really fun Pokemon. You can use him in singles, you can use him in doubles. Putting him next to a Klefki would make him a very formidable Toxic Staller. If you're doing something like that, you might be able to find a better way to, like, charge him up a bit. And what I mean by that is, you know, throw a double team on him. If he's not going to die, you know, 2 double teams, 3 double teams, and now you're just going to be a little better off overall to do more damage, and you're going to be a very annoying threat that just doesn't take damage. It's great. So, hope you guys enjoyed the strategy. This is the way I run Porygon2. It's not just like a complete build up and get tanky kind of set. You get to run off with it, and it's really nice because it doesn't have as much risk, and it's very straightforward. Done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have a nice day.